Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to make this cute little guy. This is Tom from Tom and Jerry. So the yarn I'm going to be using, and I know this is a darker yarn than he is, where most of us remember. Tom was, the cat, was always a light gray and a white. Then he went from light gray, well, a darker gray to a lighter gray chest. And then he was blue at one point. So he's been multiple colors throughout the years. The Tom I remember is a light gray, although I'm not building him in that color. I'm building him in this dark gray charcoal. So this is a Red Heart Super Saver, and that's the color of it, charcoal. And that's the color I'm choosing to use, only because I have this or light gray, and I'm using the light gray that I have for my Bugs Bunny right now. So I'm going to use the darker gray to build Tom. Does that make sense? And this white is just, it's a Bernat Premium. I just got it at Walmart, and I think it's a fabulous, nice, thick 4-weight. So these are the two yarns that I'm using. I'm not sure what hooks they call for. Probably a 5mm. So I'm going to use a 4.5 for this project because it is going to be built in amigurumi. So we're going to build all the body parts in this video first, because he's all built in one piece, so it just makes sense to build the body parts first, and then we kind of put them all together. So we're going to start with our gray, and we're going to build a body bridge so that he has a space between his legs. So we're going to start with a long tail slip knot, and that just basically means before you make your slip knot, you make sure you have a long tail. You're going to chain 4. And you're going to do 3 single crochets. You're going to chain 1, turn your work. And I know it seems super small, but it's just enough to give him that gap between his legs. We're going to do 3 rows of 3 stitches. That is it. So now that's all done and ready to go for when our legs are complete. So you just need sewing tails at both ends. And that's why we did the long tail slip knot. So it'll get sewn on like this to either leg. So you know that it's not getting sewn on like that. Although it can, I suppose. It just will bring you closer together, but we'll just set that aside for now and move on. So moving on, we'll start with the hand and arm because we're just going to follow the PDF here. The legs get, we use the legs to start the body, so the legs are going to be the last thing because one of them we fasten off of, the other one we don't. So we'll get the arms done first. That's the madness I'm doing right now. So we'll do a magic ring of 6 single crochets. You're going to need a stitch marker since this is built in amigurumi. We don't slip stitch and we don't chain. Our first round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. so we don't, again, slip stitch or chain. We go right into our first stitch and we start building. So after your first stitch, that's where your marker goes, and then stitch number 2 can go in that same space. 2 single crochets in each stitch around will give you 12 stitches. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 18 stitches. I am weaving my tail in at the back. That's 1 single crochet, and then your next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 24 stitches. That's number 1 with your marker. That's number 2, and then the next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be, well, your next 3 rounds, 1 single crochet in each stitch for the next 3 rows. So that is my 3 rows. That's what it should look like. So we're going to start decreasing now. We're going to do 2 single crochets and a decrease. So that's number 1. That's number 2. And then your decrease. So I'm going to do invisible ones. You don't have to. A regular decrease is just going into the stitch, pull up a loop, going into your next stitch, pull up a loop, yarning over and pulling through all 3 loops. An invisible decrease is done a little bit differently, and it's done in the front loops only. So go into your first front loop, then pop around to your second front loop, then you yarn over, pull through that, and finish the stitch. Just cuts down on the gapping that you get, but you can do which one you want. 2 single crochet decrease will bring you down to 18 stitches. So for round 8, all you have to do is 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 12 stitches. That's your 1 single crochet, so we jump right into our decrease all the way around. So we can put some stuffing in this. And then for the next 2 rows, before we switch to gray, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. So when we switch to gray, we're going to increase. Or whatever color you're using. I said switch to gray, but I mean whatever color you're using. So you don't need to make this tight. We want it to be still squishy because this is what we're doing to it. So to make it look like a paw. So you need it to still be squishy. So for the next 2 rows, you're going to do 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches, and then on your last stitch of your second row, you're going to switch to gray. So I'm on my last stitch. I'm going to pull up a loop, and I'm going to switch to gray. Cut off your white or weave if that's what you're doing. And then with the gray, tuck this down, we're going to increase. So we're going to do 3 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then your next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Repeat this all the way around, and this will leave you with 15 stitches. And from here, for the next 16 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 15 stitches. Stuff as you go, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. That's my 16 rows. I'm already stuffed, kind of stuffed to some end. So you can fasten off. We're not done with the arm yet, but you need a little bit of sewing tail because you're going to sew it to the body before you crochet it on. So make sure this is on the side for when you sew. You have to sew this on. So what you do here, just make sure that your little dilly-dally thing here is on the side. So you need to get just a gray piece of yarn. however long enough. I mean, that's not an answer, but I don't know. So this is what we're doing. I'll show you here. So this is what we're doing to make the paw. This is not the original hand or foot that I had on the doll that I posted on my Facebook page. I changed it because I really, really, really did not like the look of it. So I changed it to this, so it actually looks like a cat. Because it was driving me crazy having human hands and human feet on a cat, even though that's what the cartoon depicts. So again, one side is going to be better than the other. Oops, sorry. One side's going to be better than the other. But you can't really help that. Unless you're an expert at it, which I am not. I haven't made too many of these legs. So I've got 2 of mine. I'm going to let you go and make your other arm at the end of the video. We're not going to do it right now. I'm going to put the pattern up at the end of chapter 1 before we jump into chapter 2. So we're going to move on to the ears. That's the next big thing, and then the leg, and then chapter 1 will be done. So PDF users, you're going to have to scroll all the way down near the bottom to get to the ears, because I'm not doing this in order of the PDF. And we're going to start with our charcoal or whatever color you're using. And we're going to make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. The first round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches. So I'm going to pull my middle closed, and I'm going to make a knot to keep it closed. Next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. Number 1 with your marker, and then the second stitch can go into that same space. 2 single crochets in each space, each stitch, all the way around gives you 12 stitches. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. That's 1 single crochet, and then the next stitch gets the increase, which is 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. This will bring it up to 18 stitches. So your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 24 stitches. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 30 stitches. So for the next 7 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 30 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. This is my 7 rows, and I'm going to fasten off. So this does not get stuffed. It gets whip stitched closed. You're going to need a sewing tail. Then we'll do the pink for the top part. So that's your ear. So we're going to make the pink part for the inside. So I've just got this pink here that I don't even really know what it is. It's quite thick, like almost worsted thick, but it's just 4-weight. So I'm not sure what it is. I'm not even sure the color, but it's not very soft. So it's just scrap yarn I'm just using for the pink. So just grab whatever scrap yarn you have if you got pink and use it. It doesn't really matter what color. But you're going to make a slip knot and you're going to chain 11. So you're going to do 10 single crochets back up. So I think I'm going to yarn under for this project just so it's not as big as I think it might be. Like I just don't want it to be too big because it's such a thick, it's thick yarn. And I'll show you what I mean by that for those that don't know. So when you go into your stitch, generally you grab your piece like this, you go over, grab your yarn over. Well, when you yarn under, you kind of come up like this. So you're coming from underneath it and then grabbing it. So that's the difference between yarning over and yarning under. So I'm going to yarn under. My first 2 stitches are going to be single crochet 2 together. So do a decrease in your first 2 stitches. And then I'm going to do 6 single crochets across. Now, yarning under is also good if you are a loose crocheter like I am. It gives you a tighter and boxier stitch. So you should have 2 stitches left, and this is the turning over stitch, the one that likes to flip over, and you're going to decrease those 2 together. So just a decrease. Chain 1, turn your work. So you should have 8 stitches. I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 8 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. So now you're going to decrease the first 2 stitches again. Then you're going to do 4 single crochets. And decrease the last 2. Chain 1, turn your work. And now I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 6 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. So you're going to decrease the first 2. You're going to do 2 single crochets and then decrease the last 2. Chain 1, turn your work. And now I want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 4 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. So decrease these first 2 and then decrease these last 2. We're getting right down to the bare bones. Chain 1, turn your work. You should have 2 stitches left, and I want you to just decrease the last 2. Fasten off, and that is what we'll put the point on. So you just need enough to sew this to the ear. So you got a cute little triangle. And that cute little triangle gets sewn to the inside of your ear. So we can do that, and then we'll move on to the leg, and that'll be the end of chapter 1. I just used this as like an anchor point. There. I keep going off camera. There. So, I'm just going to weave. I'm going to weave out the shared space. Not that I think any little kitties are going to be trying to rip this inside of the ear off, but you never know. Always better to be safe than sorry. So this ear is meant to curl in significantly around the bottom when we sew it on. So it does get sewn on kind of like that, like really weird. His ears are weird. Anyway, let's move on to the legs. So to start the legs, we're gonna start with a white as soon as my camera decides it's gonna work. PDF users, if you wanna, you're gonna have to scroll all the way back up. Gotcha everywhere. If you're using it on your computer. If you're new to my channel and you're not sure why I keep saying PDF users, if you join my channel and become a member, that membership gets you access to all my PDFs for every video that I do. So that's what that's all about. It's pretty cheap to join. It's like $3-4 a month, and you get access to all my PDFs. And if there's a PDF that's not there, that you've seen a video that I've done but I haven't put the PDF up, just ask me for it and I'll put the PDF up. So anyway, starting with white, we're gonna do a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Your first round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch, bringing you up to 12 stitches. So after the first stitch, that's where your marker goes. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. That's 1 single crochet, and then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. And this will bring it up to 24 stitches. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, and this brings you up to 30 stitches. For the next 3 rows, you should have 30 stitches. For the next 3 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 30 stitches. So that's what you should have after your 3 rows. So we're going to start to decrease. So we're going to do a 3 single crochet decrease, and this will bring it down to 24 stitches. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring it down to 18 stitches. So you should have 18 stitches. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. So we're going to start doing the heel part of the foot. So I want you to start with 9 single crochets. That's my 9 single crochets. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to turn. And I'm going to do that again. 9 single crochets. Chain 1 and turn. So we're going to decrease these 2 stitches, these first 2. And then we're going to do 5 single crochets. And then we're going to decrease the last 2. Chain 1, turn your work. Decrease again, the first 2. Now we're going to do 3 single crochets. And then decrease the last 2. So you'll see it written as SC2 tog. That means to single crochet 2 together. So now we're going to crochet around. So PDF users, you'll see it say down the raw side. That's the stuff with no stitches over here. And up the raw side is the stuff over here with no stitches. It's written on the PDF that way. So I first want you to do 5 single crochets, so just right across the top. And then you've got this going down with no stitches, but I want you to try to get in 3 single crochets, so just stick your hook in anywhere and make 3 single crochets. And then I want you to do 10 single crochets all the way around, starting in this first corner. Take my marker out because it doesn't make a difference. So this is my 10th stitch. And then I want you to do 3 single crochets back up this raw side. So just try to stick your hook where you stuck your last hook. Does that make sense? And you should have 21 stitches. So our marker spot is now going to be this first stitch up here at the top. So go into that first stitch and put your marker in there. I want you to do 7 single crochets. So that counts as number 1. And then I want you to decrease these next 2 stitches. So that takes you right down to this across here. I want you to do 3 single crochets. And then decrease again. Three single crochets. And then decrease again. And then you should have 2 single crochet excuse me, 2 single crochets to the marker. So we can stuff this guy. Don't put a lot in here because we're doing the same thing we did with the hand. That's what we're doing. So we need this to not be full and stiff. We need it to be kind of loosey-goosey. So we'll do the toe part after the next couple of rows. This next row with your white is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches. Oops, I buried my white down in here. And then we're going to change color, so when you come back around, that'll be our color change. So this is my color change, my 18th stitch. So we're not increasing or decreasing or anything right now. We're going to stick with our 1 single crochet in each of these 18 stitches, and we're going to do this for 18 rows. So this at the back for your heel, I would just for the first few rows kind of pull up a bit to make these taller. Eventually they even out and it looks perfectly fine. And then when you start getting around the front, you can just start making normal stitches, don't have to pull up. So I would just do that for the first few rows until it becomes even. It'll look better once you start stuffing it too. So we'll get to the what to do with the toe before we build our 18 rows, just so it's done and you know what it's going to look like. Because after your 18 rows is done, if you need to take out stuffing, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to get your fingers in there, so. So before I go any further, just make sure your heel part is face down. So your little doodad should be on the side here. So you just need a piece of gray. Again. So we're not, I'm going to put this here just so you can see it. Oh. There, you can see that. So we're doing the two, just the 2 pieces. 2, 3, 4, 5. About the same area as I did the other one, 5, 6. So now we can finish putting stuffing in it. So once you're able to kind of push the stuffing back so that you make a heel, it does look a lot better up here. I'll put some in later. So I've already done one round, 17 more to go, and I will see you on the other side. I'm still going to pull up on the back stitches a little bit. So that's my leg and my foot. I'm not going to fasten off mine because this is my second leg. That's my first leg. So, fasten off your first leg. So the one you're doing now, you can fasten off and leave a sewing tail. But don't fasten off your second leg because we're going to crochet these together. But we're going to use the body bridge that we built at the beginning of the video to give the leg gap. So we'll do that in chapter 2. So I'm going to end chapter 1. I'll put on the pattern not to fasten off your second leg. But I'll put all the patterns up for the ears, arms, and legs for you to make all your second pieces. And you can fasten off everything except for the leg. And I will see you in chapter 2, and we'll start getting this guy all together. Hi guys, welcome back to chapter 2. So, we have to crochet these guys together. So, we just gotta sew this body bridge on. So the body bridge, make sure you're sewing it on where the wrong side is facing you, so that the right side is down. So this corner will get sewn on longwise, so not this way, this way. And then this will sew on the other side. The trick is trying to find the midway of your leg to sew it on. But it should only be 4 stitches. Now there's no stitches on this side because it's the raw side of the body bridge, but you'll use 4 stitches of your leg to sew it on. But don't make a knot until you know that it's in the right spot, and then you can sew your other end on. So I'm happy with the location of it, I suppose, as much as I can see. It's hard to hold it still and everything. It's just there for me to put stitches into, so if you're not using a body bridge and you're just sewing your legs together, then, you know, that's fine too. So, it's not the nicest looking thing. It's pretty rough. But I just needed to put a couple of stitches. So if I put 2 in here, I gotta make sure I only put 2 in the back, type of thing. So we can start going around. Our first round is just going to be 1 single crochet. Now when I did my first doll, I made sure that I had 40 stitches. Well, this is my 39th stitch, and I should have 40, so I'm just going to put 1 more stitch into that. It won't be noticeable. So I have 40 stitches and a decent leg gap. So your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and a decrease. Yes, a decrease. And this will bring you down to 35 stitches. That's number 1. That is 6 single crochets. And I'm going to do my invisible decrease. So, your next round, round 3 to 6, you're going to do 4 rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch. So that's my 4 rows. So we're going to continue to decrease. Next round is going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 30 stitches. You should have 30 stitches, so for the next 15 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 30 stitches. and I will see you on the other side. So this is my 15 rows. We're going to be sewing the arms on, so make sure that this is fully stuffed. It's just so you get the right shape before we attach our arms. So I didn't go all the way to the top. Doesn't really matter which one goes on which one because they don't have thumbs. But you do want them to be like that, not like that. So it's the only thing you gotta watch out for. So I used 5 stitches to sew mine on. All my stuffing's in the way. So this next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch around, and I got 42 stitches. So if you want numbers like mine, and if I want numbers like mine, we have to make sure we get 42 stitches. So we're going to start decreasing now. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 35 stitches. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 28 stitches. And your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 21 stitches. And your next round is just 1 single crochet in each of these 21 stitches. Your last decrease round is going to be 1 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 14 stitches, and that's about as far as we go for his neck. So we jump right into the decrease because number 1 stitch is our marker. For the next 2 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 14 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So we're going to start to increase now. So your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. Starting his head. That's 1 single crochet, so your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 28 stitches. That's number 1, the marker. That's number 2, and then your increase. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 35 stitches. So your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 42 stitches. Your next round, round 35, is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 49 stitches. And then I want you to follow it up with round 36 of 1 single crochet in each of those 49 stitches. So my last round was round 36, 1 single crochet in each stitch around for 49 stitches. We're going to start decreasing now. So we're going to do 5 single crochet decrease. That'll bring you down to 42 stitches. So this is what you should have. For the next 4 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 42 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. Your next decrease is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring it down to 35 stitches. So you should have 35 stitches. So for the next 2 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 35 stitches. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 28 stitches. So you should have 28 stitches. For the next 2 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 28 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 21 stitches. And then I want you to do 2 rows of 1 single crochet in each of those 21 stitches. So I know his head's pretty funny looking. It's pretty funny looking anyway. So your last couple of rounds, the first one's going to be 1 single crochet and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 14 stitches. And then you're just going to follow it up with 1 single crochet in each of those 14 stitches. Everything will be on my pause screen, and I will see you on the other side. So that is it. We can fasten off and get this guy stuffed and cinched. So it should look like a teardrop shape. Alright, so I'm popping out the top, so I think my cinch is going to be pretty decent. If you don't have enough in here, the cinch will be all wrinkly. So in the front loop, out the front loop, all the way around. So I'm going to pop across and make my knot. And I'm going to pop across the other direction, make my knot. There we go. So that's the shape of the head. It should be somewhat flat now on top, not so pointy. And that's what you should have. So that's going to be the end of chapter 2, and when we come back for chapter 3, we're going to do his face, his belly thing, and sew his ears on and put his hair on his top of his noggin, and we'll be all done. So it'll be a short chapter 3. I'll see you there. Hi guys, welcome back to chapter 3. So I've got this light gray color. This is a Craftsmart, just light gray. And this is just what I'm going to use to do his belly patch. And then we'll move on to his face, so the ears on, and we're done. So get whatever gray color you're using and I'll meet you right back here. Alright, so we're going to start with a chain 5. Still use my 4.5, and I want you to do 4 single crochets back up. You only have 4 working stitches. The 5th one was still on your hook, so you should go right back to the very tippy top. Chain 1, turn your work. So we're going to instantly start increasing. So in this first stitch, we're going to put 2 single crochets. And then you're going to do 2 single crochets. And then this last stitch, you're going to put 2 single crochets in that same space. Chain 1, turn your work. We're going to do that again. So in the first stitch, you're going to put 2 single crochets. And now you're going to do 4 single crochets across. And then this last stitch, you're going to do 2 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. So for the next 8 rows, you're going to put 1 single crochet in these 8 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So that's my 8 rows. So for the next 5 rows, you're going to do 3 half doubles. Ow, that was my elbow on my table. 3 half doubles, 2 singles, 3 half doubles. For the next 5 rows. Chain 2, turn your work. So that's what you should have. So this is the shape that we're kind of going for. And that is it. You can fasten off long sewing tail. I suppose you're gonna have to sew all the way around. And if you choose to stuff it, that's up to you. But when you sew, just make sure you kind of keep this little arch shape, because that's what he has on his belly. I like to use this tail just to kind of lag him down once I figure out where he's going. Once he's in place. So I've got these pins. They're wig pins, so the top of them holds things nicely. So moving on to the muzzle, we're going to get our white and we're going to make a chain 7. We're going to do 5 single crochets back up. That's my 5 single crochets. In this last space, we're going to put 4 single crochets in here. And the way it wants to curve around, we're going to follow that curve. So we're going to be working in the round. That's what that means. So pull your slip knot tight. Just make sure you're getting into that stitch. That's my slip knot. Make sure you're getting into that stitch right next to it. And you're going to do 4 single crochets. And in this last stitch, you're going to put 4 single crochets. So this will block part of your first stitch, so you just got to pull that back. We're going to get into that first stitch. Put your stitch marker in there just so you can follow along. I'm going to cut this off at the back since I weaved it in a little bit. So that is stitch number 1 with your marker. We're going to do 6 single crochets. So that's stitch number 1. This is my 6th single crochet. And these 2 stitches right here at the top, we're going to put 2 single crochets in each of those. And then I want you to do 7 single crochets to get to the other side where you're going to have 2 stitches left. That's my 7th single crochet, and I've got these 2 stitches left. I'm going to put 2 single crochets in each of those. So now for the next 3 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. You should have 21 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So this is what you should have. Something that looks like this. So we're going to fasten off with sewing tail. So this does get stuffing. But before we have to sew it, start sewing it on before we can stuff it. But this is a little 10 millimeter, I think, safety eye that I'm going to use for a nose. So just a tiny wee thing. So this is the first chain line that we did. You can tell by the big holes where we worked in the round over here. And I'm just going to put that above that line, like that. Put my bag on. So I'm going to start sewing it, and then I'm going to stuff it. And then we can do the rest of what we're going to do with that. So you got to make sure you keep enough room for the eyes and eyebrows. It sits pretty low on the face. We're doing a bottom lip, so you just need to leave a little bit for the bottom lip. But for the most part, so we're going to stuff this after it gets sewn on a little bit. So we just need to get some black. A long piece. We'll use some of this for the whiskers too. But we're going to make this black part by the nose. So go in as close as you can to the nose. Pop out the bottom. It's hard to get in under it, so I just wrap it around. So you don't need to pull super duper tight. So I'm going to use the rest of this to do my whiskers. I'm going to go in and out. So pull it as long as you want your whisker to be over here, and then cut this off to length. It's hard to see. Go into your next hole, wherever you want them. So we can make the bottom mouth part. You're going to need some red felt and some white yarn. So the bottom part of the jaw is pretty quick. We're going to do a magic ring of 6 single crochets. You're going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch around. This is being built in amigurumi, so no slip stitching, no chaining. After your first stitch goes the marker. Stitch number 2 can go in there, and then 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. Gives you a total of 12 stitches. And your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of those 12 stitches, and then we can fasten off. Easy peasy. I'm going to tie this guy in a knot. Just because I don't want it to open. But it's not that much of a big deal that I have to weave it in, so we're going to whip stitch this. Okay, that's our little lower jaw. So it will get sewn on curved like this. And we're going to sew it on before we do the tongue because it's going to be a lot easier. So it's going to get sewn on curved like that. Which is easier than it sounds, but it's going to get curved like that when we sew it on, so it's open. So now we need to get some glue and some felt. We're going to use felt and stuff for the eyes too. So you need red for the tongue, white and black for the eyes. Before we do the felt, we're going to sew our ears on. So our ears get curved to, trying to get him to sit. That's not the easiest thing to show you, but they start sewing here and they get curved almost back on his head. So if you do start in the middle of your marker, in the middle of his head, eventually you've got to move his, like normally an ear would get sewn on like that because it would be even, right? But his actually has to go back a little bit. That's just the way his ears are, so that's what I did. And I made sure I kept it curvy. So my ears aren't sewn on exactly matchy-matchy because it's hard to sew on camera. Excuse me. So as far as the felt stuff goes, I've got some of this glue. It's clear. It's really good glue. I've got felt that's kind of hard and it kind of sucks, but you can see where I cut out my other eyes. But let's do the mouth first. So we'll do the little red mouth part. So one part can be kind of round and the other part can be kind of straight. And you're just going to glue it, push that down. You're just going to glue it like that in his mouth. The eyes, if you don't have two pieces of white, I only have one piece of white. So I'm just going to fold it in half to cut my eyes. Just so that they're the same. So, that's my eyes. Now we need to do the black part. Now he looks like Tom. So while we wait for this to dry, the last thing we need to do is his tail. So by the time we're done the tail, this should be dry. So that'll be next. So this is the tail that I did. I did not stuff the tail because I found like it was more in the way if I stuffed it. So we're going to do this waterfall stitch, and it's super duper easy, but it just makes the tail look like it should. But it's not stuffed at all, just so you know. So, starting with white, we're going to do a magic ring of 6 single crochets. For the first 2 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch. So we get a nice point. So I'm just going to count to 6, but if you're not sure where your stitches are, then I would use the marker. Well, I'm going to count to 12 for my 2 rows. That's my 2 rows. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. I use my marker now. That's 1 single crochet, and then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Stick this down in there. It's the most stuffing that we're going to do. So you should have 9 stitches. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 9 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 12 stitches. And then 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 15 stitches. For the next 3 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 15 stitches, and then we're going to switch to gray. So I'm on my last stitch of my 3rd row, and that's when I'm going to switch to gray. And with the gray, this is where we're going to do the waterfall stitch. Now if you don't want to do the waterfall stitch, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to do it. I just thought it was super duper neat. So the waterfall stitch is just a stitch that's done not in this row that you're working, but the row below. So we're going to start with 1 single crochet so that we can put our marker in. So just go into that stitch and do 1 single crochet. This next stitch, I want you to drop down 1, so it's kind of on an angle a little bit because we work in a spiral. So it's not this one over here. Go from here to here with a double crochet. You're going to put 2 double crochets into this space. So when you pull up on your double, you're just going to keep pulling up so you get the height to meet back up in this row and finish your stitch. So put another double crochet into that same space and pull up till you get the height to be in this row. So you're going to skip this next stitch that usually gets partially blocked by these 2 stitches, but you're going to skip it anyway. And in the next stitch you're going to do a single crochet and then a single crochet. So 2 single crochets are going to follow your waterfall stitch with a skipped stitch. So here we go in this next stitch, drop down a level, we're going to put 2 double crochets as a waterfall stitch. You're going to skip this and you're going to do 2 single crochets. Waterfall stitch, so 2 double crochets in the row below. Skip a stitch, put 2 single crochets. 2 double crochets in the row below. And now you only have the skipped stitch, so you're going to skip it. So we go into our next round. We're skipping that, so we just go in here to start with a single crochet. That's your first stitch of your next round. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. You should have 15 stitches, the same amount of stitches that we had before we started our gray. So we still have 15 stitches because even though we put 2 stitches in here, we skipped 1. So that takes place of the skipped stitch, having the 2 stitches and skipping 1. So in fact we should have the same amount. You're going to do 1 single crochet for 16 rows altogether. Now I just did 1 with you, so for the next 15 rows you're going to do 1 single crochet in each of these stitches. And you don't have to stuff. If you don't want to stuff your tail, then you don't have to stuff your tail. So that is my 16 rows all together. And it's not stuffed. So we're going to start to decrease because I wanted to kind of taper in before we had to sew it to the bum. So I did a 3 single crochet decrease to start. And your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 9 stitches, and then I want you to do your last row as 1 single crochet in each of the 9 stitches. So that's number 1, that's number 2, and then your decrease. So you can fasten off. You need a sewing tail. We're going to cinch this closed. Just easier to sew it on that way, I think. So in the front loop, out the front loop, all the way around. Then you can pull. The reason I didn't whip stitch this is because it just looks better cinched. I tapered it for a reason. I didn't really want to square it off. There we go. And that's your little tail. So I think my guy is probably dry because that's pretty good glue. So I'm just gonna sew my bum. I'm gonna sew my bum. I'm gonna sew my tail to my bum. So let me zoom out so you can see what I'm doing. So I sewed it on where his tail. Let me scooch him forward here. I sewed him on where his tail was even with the color of his legs, where the color change is, but I mean, that's completely up to you. And there we have it. So the only thing left to do is his eyebrows. And that is it, I'm pretty sure. Just his eyebrows. So I saved a piece of my black for when I did my whiskers. So I made these quite thick. But you really got to make sure that you're... Oh, we got to do the hair tuft too. So you got to really make sure that you're not making him have an angry face. I made them quite large on my other guy, but I think I'll just make them a normal size here. So it's completely up to you how you do your eyebrows. I know, it's so hard to see. That's my eyebrows. And then his little tuft of hair. I just took my yarn and wrapped it around my fingers a bit. Cut this. Well, I'll cut it after anyway. And then you just take your little pieces, fold them in half-ish, pick up a post, just like you're doing regular hair. Pull it through so you have a loop, yarn over, and pull through the loop. So we're going to add all this hair first, and then I'll show you what I do. Anyway, once you got your hair on there, I unraveled. So this is, most 4 weights are weaved with 4 pieces. And I kind of just fluffed it up and then cut it and fluffed it up actually. I cut it first and then I just fluffed it up. So once all mine is unraveled, I just cut it really short. There we go. Now we're done. Now we're done. Don't much like that. Square it off like that, so. There we go. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.